So the news is that last night when I was doing the live stream on YouTube, I got to a certain part of that live stream and I said 2 words that begin with the letter F. And if you're thinking of a certain word, like, get your mind out of the gutter because it's another word. The word that I said was the F to the A to the S to the C to the I to the S to the M. Yep. And I said that it was going to fail. And when I said those 2 words together, the live stream went whoosh, and it shut down. Now, we could say the cosmos shut me off, or YouTube shut me off, or something shut me off. But basically, the live stream shut down. I could not get back into it. It was a huge disappointment. It was heartbreaking. And so the first thing I want to say is thank you to everyone who did show up and was there and totally interacting with the whole thing going on. That was fantastic. The good news is that I've learned my lesson with technology and I had a backup recording going. So I switched over to that and I continued to record to the best of my ability, but that was kind of hard to do after, kind of the air went out of the balloon on it. But I still recorded and I still got some really good stuff recorded. I got most of a lot of the first round of this message that I wanted to get out. What I did find is like, oh my God, I have so much more than I can do in an actual first live stream. So I'm going to be parsing this information out as we go because we've had a huge tide shift. And that's what I started talking about this in this live stream. So the deal is that the recording is available. It is there for you to purchase for a small fee. And I'm going to continue to put information out along this line. Quite frankly, once I did this, it kind of like opened up the field and I'm like, oh my God, I can start pendulum checking again because I can see where we're at now and I can see the lay of the landscape. And from that place, I can begin to do pendulum checks. And I'm not just going to do pendulum checks. I'm going to do percentage pendulum checking, which is different than that whole yes-no thing. The yes-no thing is the duality and that does give us good answers. But I'm beginning to be a pretty big proponent of percentage pendulum checking, which is really kind of interesting. So I'm going to come back and do that. The other thing that I want to include here is just like a really good snapshot of the energy landscape, kind of like March and April. So you have a little bit of that foundation because I focus a lot on what's going on with April through the rest of the summer. So the piece of information that you need is that as we came into March, we hit that March 1st date, and that anchored in that secondary timeline. So we've got that first layer of the timeline, and that's anchored in pretty good. And then March 1st was that second timeline, and it was almost as if when that landed, all the energy went out of the E of I, or the election interference stuff. It just kind of like, it went out. And I found that to be very interesting. Like, that timeline landed, we stopped doing timeline jumps and energy gateways. Like, the wind has gone out of those sails and the energy has gone out of the election interference stuff. And that's when I felt the energy go out of the egg, the Kamala Harris egg. And then, I got all that information in about Biden, and that was on the international level. And then it all went quiet. And so the feeling that I have is like, that's all been deep tanked. Like, it's still there, it's still present, but it's all been deep tanked. And we are now on these 2 very solid timelines. And then when we came into April, the April 1st mark, there were activations happening with those 2 timelines with new energies and new energy structures. And it's like something new began with all of that. Okay. And I believe it all has to do with the collective consciousness, the resistance. And so that's kind of the lay of the landscape. And then this recording that I'm providing for you, then it picks up for April through the rest of the summer into the fall. So that should give you like kind of the lay of the landscape that we're dealing with at this point. Okay. The other thing that has happened with this recording is I feel very much like it has freed up my psychic ability to work much more unfettered and unattached so that I can really get much better information in for us. And the other thing that I am going to begin to be doing, and you will begin to notice, is I'm going to make distinctions between readings coming out of 3D and readings coming out of 5D. I think we need to begin to pay attention to the difference between the two. I'm going to continue to be here doing the psychic notes, the energy reads, and also the inspirational basics with the coaching, and then classes and workshops as we move into the spring and the summer. And yeah, we've got a whole transformational resistance movement to do that I think is going to make a huge difference on the ground. And I'll keep saying what I've said before, like, this is not over. It's changed form. It has changed form, but it is not over. And we are on an entirely new landscape we have never been on before, and we have never had access to before. And so there is hope with that. And the other thing that I want you to keep in mind that is a little bit fun today is that attitude is free. All right. I will leave that with you on a Monday, Tuesday, depending on when you are seeing this. And yeah, I will see you in the next video.